Hiya crafty folks, Amy here with Amy's Wares, and today I'm going to do some quick holiday card batching. I have this gorgeous stamp set. If it's still available, I will link it in the video description box below with the other products that I used. I have no idea if this pattern paper is still available, but I'm sure you have something in your stash. Now here's a photo of the 5 finished cards I was able to batch. And as you can see, I did some heat embossing. Now, I have loads of things in my stash for heat embossing, but it's not something that I often reach for. I love how it looks, but I just feel like sometimes I'm just too lazy to do it or I make too much of a mess. But in this case, I thought it would look gorgeous with this holiday stamp set, which I haven't used yet, and it would look really beautiful and it would give me a chance to use up some pattern paper and batch some holiday cards. So I'm coming up with a really simple layout here, just using the beauty and simplicity of the design, both on the pattern paper and also in the stamp set. I have some Wow embossing powder that they so graciously sent to me. I'm going to use this, I think it's antique gold. Like I said, I'll link it below. But I have this pattern paper cut down to A2 size or slightly smaller. I have my embossing tool from the Rabbit Hole Designs. Just going to put down some powder over this pattern paper. And what that does is it makes it so the sticky embossing powder is able to grab onto the embossing powder and have the embossing powder not stick everywhere else. So it's just a way to kind of get rid of maybe oily fingerprints or things like that that may attract the embossing powder where you don't want it. So I'm using my Misty and my press tool from my friend Pat just to kind of get this down. I'm doing it a couple times to make sure I get a nice even impression, and then I'm going to coat this panel with this gold embossing powder. I'm just going to sprinkle it right over it on top of a piece of scrap paper so I can pour it right back into the little bucket. Now, I will warn you, these little tubs are very, very full. So when you're pouring it back in, it is going to fill it right back up. So be prepared for that. I'm surprised I didn't make a colossal mess like I normally do. Just using a little brush to kind of sweep away any that kind of got stuck where it wasn't supposed to. But I'm just going to tap the back of it as well to get off any excess. And then I'm going to get my, after I pour this back in, I'm going to get my Wow 2-speed embossing tool nice and hot so I can melt this as quickly as possible. So the hotter you have your tool, the less you'll have to kind of apply the heat to the paper, which means less warpage. So make sure you keep that heat tool moving while you're working through melting the embossing powder, and get it as hot as you can in the beginning just to make sure it goes as quick as possible. So I'm going to melt that. You can see that beautiful shine. Once it's cooked, you know it's cooked because it gets that shine. If it's still dull, then you know it's still powder and it's going to rub off. So make sure you kind of tilt it in the light a couple different times to make sure that you have all of it melted so that it doesn't mess up your design. So now I decide to go with a darker piece of pattern paper to see if it pops off even better. So I'm just kind of playing with what I have, using both sides of the pattern paper to see which I like better, which they all kind of have their pros and cons. It's just a matter of preference. But when the recipient has this in their hands, even if it doesn't seem very super noticeable on the screen, it's very evident when you hold the card in person, because the second light hits it, it glints off that pretty shiny embossing, and then the picture is very clear as well as the sentiment. So again, I'm just going to pour this back into the little tub and manage to not spill it everywhere, which I've definitely done a time or two. And same thing, I'm just going to melt this. Now I have this little this little tool from Tim Holtz. If I remember, I'll link that below. But that little hand just makes me laugh every time I use that. Like a little mini hand holding my little piece of paper so I don't burn my hand. But those are the panels. And then it's just going to be a matter of stamping on the inside of my card base. I picked a different sentiment from that same stamp set. Again, I don't know if this one is available, but I'm sure you have something in your stash to kind of apply this idea. So just think in terms of, what pattern paper do I have that will work for Christmas or holiday, or maybe even not holiday related, but you can make it look holiday related with the colors that you choose. And what stamps do I have that would look really good with heat embossing, and combine the two. So really super simple idea. Here I'm just using some ink, and I'm going to do some simple stamping to put a sentiment on the inside of the card. I'm going to do this for all 5 of the cards that I was able to make, so I can batch and basically go through the process and create a bunch of these for my holiday cards. I'm using my press tool to stamp this down, and then now I'm just matching up the bling to my cards. So picking through my different colors, I have various different golds to choose from. I was able to find the one that worked best, put it down for a smattering on the front of the card for all 5, and that's going to finish the design. So super easy, came together in a snap. I encourage you to use what you have, and this will hopefully be a quick design that you can mass produce and get a bunch of holiday cards ready for this year. So if you found this helpful, please do hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing, and I will catch you next time. Bye.